not lost, but I'm not found. I'm not up, but I'm not down. I love you and I love you and I love you and I love you, and it's so easy. I love you and I love you and I love you and I love you, and it's so hard. But all I'm really sure of is I'm not happy, I'm not sad, particularly down or glad. I'm somewhere in between. I'm not blue, red, black or green, got no favorite thing. I'm somewhere in between. I'm not wrong, but I'm not right. I'm not lazy, but I don't try. I need you and I need you and I need you and I need you, and it's not easy. I need you and I need you and I need you and I need you, and it's not hard. And all I'm really sure of is that I just don't know why. I'm not happy and not sad, particularly down or glad. I'm somewhere in between. I'm not blue, red, black or green, got no favorite thing. I'm somewhere in between.
Hi there, my name's Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. I'm going to bring this microphone up today. I don't like seeing the microphone in the shot, but it does always sound better when I have it there. Testing 1, 2. Yep. Here we go. Okay. So today is Monday. And it is March the 31st, which means that tomorrow is going to be April the 1st already. January, February, March, April. Crazy. Oh yeah, sorry I didn't make it last week. I was just absolutely shattered. And I am today as well. I had a lot of gigs this weekend, which is awesome. Really cool gigs. So I've kind of rebranded. I'm trying something new this week. I'm calling this stream, if you noticed, solo acoustic music. Solo acoustic musicians, solo acoustic gigs, and gear chat. Because last week something really cool happened. The video I posted last year suddenly got a lot of traction. And it's actually something that I've been talking about doing for a while. I've mentioned before, I think, that I want to do more videos about what I actually do and what I'm trained to do, which is, you know, I have a degree in music performance, vocals, and I've been playing guitar. I've never had another job apart from playing in bars and weddings and performing. So I'm really happy that video worked out as well as it did. I'm going to do more of those. So I thought, as people are searching that so much, and as I've had, I think that video got me 500 subscribers, which is more than any gear video would get me. So I thought, let me try and rebrand this as a bit more. I mean, we were talking about that stuff anyway, but let me put that in the title, in the description, and in the tags, just to see this week if people will tune into this from that video. So it's a bit of a test there. We'll see. But as always, if you've got a question, please ask me, and we'll just chat for an hour. So, Rosanna, how are you? She says, good evening. Thanks for moderating. Hear clearly, very good. I'm just checking the level. Never want to distort it. That's the only thing. Okay, thanks for the thumbs up. That all helps too. Chris, I'm good. How are you? Going well? Busy. Which is not a bad thing. I like being busy. And Patsy's in Suffolk, UK, hearing you fine. Good. Yeah, I'm back to this Aura mic. The Ray mic for now. All right, great. So no questions. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the channel, and then I will might show you a couple of new releases that have come out this week, and then we'll see how we go from there. Rex says, good afternoon. Just got the hills back from the guitar tech. He really dialed it in. Feels great. Hope to be April, one of my band guitar collaborators. That's one thing lately that I'm trying to avoid. It's like getting a guitar and then having it set up. Now, I know I've always said that when you buy a guitar, it's like buying a suit. You have to have it tailored to your specifications. And no guitar will ever arrive set up for everybody 100%. But I'm personally at the stage now where I just don't want to deal with it. I love when I get a guitar that is ready to go. Most of the Cole Clarks have been ready to go. A couple needed the saddle lowered a little bit. But, you know, I usually let a guitar settle in. I adjust the truss rod, change the strings, that kind of thing. And then if it is just a bit too high, I'll have the saddle lowered. Something you can do yourself. You just sand the saddle, but you must make sure it's completely flat. And the reason I like to go to the person I go to is that he has a belt sander and can make sure it's exactly flat. But, you know, a lot of it depends on if you have to travel. If I had a guitar tech that I really trusted that lived in my building, I'd have no problem having guitars adjusted all the time. But to have to travel to someone and then travel to pick it up and maybe go back and have it adjusted again, that really puts me off new guitars, unfortunately. I think I will say Sir as well. As long as the Sir guitar arrives with no issues, because I've had some setup issues with Sirs, but playability wise, out of the box, they've all just been just right. So. Boomer, how you doing? Good to see you. Awesome. So this week I tested out a new PA system, the QSC KC12. So I'll show you that on the screen. Let me go over to the desktop. That's better. All right, cool. So these just came out. These were at NAMM. I saw these at NAMM and really liked them. So I'm doing a video on these. And I wanted to take it to the gigs I had on Saturday to try it out properly. And it was great. I'm still getting my thoughts together on it. But basically, I thought the sound was excellent. I didn't know if I needed a sub like this, a big bass bin subwoofer for an acoustic guitar. But I think it does add something. Even if you don't use a ton of bass on the guitar, it does add a certain depth, which is nice. And of course, if you're running a bass guitar or a drum or backing tracks to it, then you really need that. If you're only playing acoustic guitar and you don't use a ton of low end, even then, I still really liked what it did. But I also took a kick drum pedal and ran that through there as well. And that sounded really good. In fact, it sounded so good that when I didn't use it, I really missed it. So I'd recommend everyone checks out these kick drum pedals that you can buy, the stomp boxes. The only thing is, mine didn't sound, there was something up with the sound. Sometimes it would sound like it was clipping. It wasn't clipping because sometimes it was fine. I think it's, the stomp box I was using was called a Wild Dog, and it's got a passive pickup, and I was plugging it into the line input on the speaker. So I think that was messing it up. I think I need to plug it into that high Z input. So I need to mess around with that. But even with the issue I had with that stomp, the connection I had, whatever, the way it was set up, it still sounded excellent. And I really think for a party gig, you need a stomp box. You just need it. Well, you don't need anything, but it just adds so much power. And the fact that when you stop using it, you really miss it, I think that says a lot about using a stomp box. So Let me know if you use a stomp box when you play guitar. Some people use tambourines, some people use real kick drum pedals, some people use digital kick drum pedals. The one I used was an analog pedal, so no battery, but very portable. But the bigger the pedal, the bigger the sound. So obviously it's good to get a bigger one. And then you get, I mean, a big pedal through a sub like this, you're just going to get a ton of, like, you feel it in the chest, you know? I think that's a really good thing to have. My only two things I was a bit unsure of with this is the screen. It's a very basic LCD screen that you can't really see off axis. So I'm hoping they'll bring out an app. It does have Bluetooth. There's no app right now. An app would make this phenomenal. I'm hoping they'll do that. I'm waiting to see. And the case, it does come with a case, but I thought the case could be a little bit better. But, you know, no case that comes with a PA system in the box is ever as good as the ones that you can buy aftermarket. So they're pretty minor things. But I really liked it. And it's about an extra £20 on top of what I normally take. So it's not a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference for me to think twice, because like if I take a cab, I have to take the bigger cab, which costs more money. So if you're driving to gigs and you could leave this sub here in the car, I would definitely I'd gig this all the time. But someone like me traveling around, I feel like the QSC K8.2 is still more practical, but this is definitely a much better sound. Well, I'm not saying much better, because they do sound different, of course, but it was a really great experience to play through it. You get the sound spreads out wider, you get more low end, you get more separation between the highs and the lows, and you know, combine that with the Cole Clark, it sounds so good that someone in the audience even said to me, "That guitar sounded great." And of course, the guitar is a combination of the guitar, the pickup, and what you're listening to, which is this. You're not listening to the pickup, you're not listening to the guitar, you're listening to this, right? So that combination of the Cole Clark with their pickup into this system was really cool. So I'm very happy. I'm very excited to make the review of this system, and let me know if you've tried them, because these are quite new. All right. So Chris says, I'm seriously considering selling several guitars so I can purchase a D18 or HD. You mean HD28, right? How much better is a D18 compared to an FGX5? Just wondering your thoughts. All right, let's check these out. So first of all, I will let you know I'll give you some information that's useful to know. So first of all, the Martins have been changed a little bit. And I haven't really spent time with them enough to know the differences yet, but I've heard good things. But a D28 and an HD28 used to differ because the HD28 had the scallop bracing, and it had a different, I'll just show you here. So this was a D28. Let me find one that I have a nice top. Yeah. Well, D28, bit more plain looking. It had non-scallop bracing, therefore was a little bit cheaper. Okay, I was never a huge fan, and I think it was because of the bracing. But some of the bluegrass players preferred it because it had more of a direct, punchy sound. That's what I think about it. Now the HD28, I always really liked because it had the scallop bracing. The other differences are the inlay. So you get the diamond inlay and the herringbone trim, and the back stripe is different as well. So I visually preferred the HD, and sonically preferred the HD28. Now they both have the scallop bracing. The only differences are cosmetic. I still prefer the more ornate look of the HD, but I kind of like that plain look of the D28 as well. As always check out these pictures, because look, I mean, look, the neck on this one looks different. This one's got some of the natural straight streaky ebony. You really want to look at these pictures. This one has the run out here in it. You know, so it's all preference. It's all what you like. Nothing's really better than anything else. My preference, as you probably know, would be one that was a bit more traditional looking, if you like this. So that's quite nice. I like this one. The back, very nice, pretty nice, and the neck. Yeah, I'll probably go for this one. So I kind of like, I like them both different. I like the D28 because it looks very, very plain and traditional. I like the HD28. It's a bit more ornate. I'm not a huge fan of the 40 series ones. For me, they're a bit too much. But again, it's all personal preference. So, of course, these are scallop brace, rosewood back and sides, and Sitka top. But you're talking about a D18. The D18's been very popular lately because I think Rhett Shaw made a video on the D18 type guitars, and it did really well. I feel like that really got it in people's minds again. So this one here, of course, mahogany back and sides, and the Sitka top. Plain, more plain looking, which I think looks great, and therefore I think this one's cheaper as well, right? Should be, used to be, because it's mahogany. But they tend to be lighter. If you look here, there's one here that's 4 pounds 2 ounces, which is very light for a dreadnought. Okay, so can't go wrong with that really. But you're also talking about the FGX5, right? Which I did own briefly, I believe. Yeah, so they are heavier, and they're heavier because they've got the pickup. But it's a very good pickup system. I really wish that Martin would put really great proprietary pickup in their guitars, but they don't. This is an active system. I really like it. It's definitely worth having it in the guitar, but it's added a pound of weight to these guitars. So the alternative would be the FG5, which has no pickup. The X is the pickup system. So as you can see, they're not actually that much lighter. I guess the pickup's only 3 to 5 ounces, but there is one here at 4 pounds 7 ounces. So basically, the answer to this question is if you don't need a pickup, then you get the one without the pickup. It's cheaper and it's a bit lighter. If you need the pickup at all, then you get the one with the pickup. It's not that much more money considering what you get, and it's slightly heavier depending on which one you get. So it's a really tough question to answer. They both feel great. They both sound great. I mean, if you're not getting the pickup, the D18s generally are a little bit lighter. That might be important to you. The Yamahas are very consistent. I mean, the Martins are consistent, and of course, all guitars vary a little bit in sound. I don't know. I'm a fan. I'm honestly a fan of both. I can't really answer. If I was looking for a built-in pickup to come in the guitar so I could go and gig it immediately, I would probably go for this guitar, the FGX5. I mean, it's $1,000 less and it's ready to gig out of the box. But if I wanted a lighter guitar and didn't want a pickup, and I wanted something like a lifer guitar that I could pass down the generations, then I'd probably go for the D18. But that's also a little bit of an emotional attachment. I'm more emotionally attached to Martin than I am to Yamaha. So I don't know. That's a really tough question. And of course, you could compare two back to back, side by side, and you might prefer one to the other. You might try another two guitars and prefer one to the other. There's not really that much separating them. They're both mahogany, they're both Sitka. The Yamaha, I think, has got the aged top, the baked top. I don't like the rough pick guard on the 5 series. Apparently that pick guard peels off and then reveals a smooth, glossy pick guard. I've never tried that, but that's what I've read. That's just like a covering. They both come in hard cases, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Only you can answer that. But I will say you can't go wrong with either of them. They're both great. Rex says, enjoyed your mic video. Did you ever resolve the noise issue? That's a really interesting one. I didn't resolve it. I tried so hard. I actually thought, honestly, that mic sounded better than this mic because it's a bigger mic. I thought it had a slightly warmer sound. I was really, really impressed. I planned like an hour-long video really going through everything about that mic because I really thought, well, it was a sponsored video, but I wanted to go through all the detail of it because I really thought it was a great investment for people to buy. But once I heard the interference, which was in the recording and not the monitored signal, which was weird, then I just cut it right down because I don't know. I didn't see the point in showing off the features while that noise was there. Like, oh, by the way, it also does it, but yeah, it didn't make much sense. So I wanted to keep it very concise. Just do the demo, do the comparison, and say this is good for the money, but beware of this noise. I never heard anything from the company, but then I saw someone else did a review of it, and they also said it had interference. So that made me feel, a sense of relief. But then they said they changed the USB input and the interference went away. Well, that didn't happen to me. So I don't know. I can only talk about my experience, right? It was a real shame. But I also read online that a lot of USB microphones can suffer from interference. So, and I also tried it in my iPhone, and I did it in that as well. And that was not in this computer. So I didn't feel comfortable. I had to put that message in there to say, look, I couldn't use this. It's got interference. But it turns out, if the other people are being transparent, it turns out that they've managed to resolve the issue. So, hey, if you want to get one from Amazon where you can return it and it works for you, I think that's a great option for that price. But if it's going to have interference, then I think it's worth spending twice the money and getting something that doesn't have it. Then again, maybe the more expensive ones have it as well. I don't know. But what I will say about that company is I really appreciate that company because they reached out to me, Xtuga. They reached out to me. They agreed to all my terms. They didn't like, some companies will talk to me and then they'll say, oh, we're not going to pay you to do a video. And I'll say, well, why should I do it then? I've said to some companies, do you work for free? I told them to stop messaging me. They were very accommodating. They agreed to all my terms. They sent me the stuff immediately. They set me a deadline, which I appreciate because that shows that they want to make sure it's done on time. They didn't ask to see the video. They didn't ask me to take it down when I was critical. They said, we like your honest reviews, and can you give us an honest review? And I've seen a video this week where people are talking about, YouTubers shouldn't make reviews because the minute you're given the item and paid to make the video, it's no longer a review. Technically, yes, because then money has exchanged hands and you're not unbiased. But I mean, look at that video, for example. I did make an honest review and I did say in the middle of it, actually, this has kind of got a problem for me. So that's actually, I'd say that's a very honest review. And they paid for me to make that video and sent me the mic. So, I say good on them. If they're going to take that feedback and improve the next version, I think that's a great company. I really do. And then the mic shield, the second video I did, obviously that's not an electronic device, and that was fine. That was all sturdy and it did the job. That's just it's a mic shield, right? You can't really go wrong with a mic shield. It's basically foam around the microphone in such a way that it's easy to use. That was great, but I really like that. There's a lot of companies out there that are not accommodating, that don't like when you criticize their products. So I thought that was great, and I really hope this is a new normal now, where companies will be like that. Like, hey, we want you to make a video, give us your feedback, we're going to pay you to do it, sponsor it, we'll give you an affiliate link, you can make money from sales if it sells, and your viewers can get a discount. I think that's great, and that's very transparent, it's very honest. Now, whether they hire me again to do any more videos, we shall see. Maybe they won't. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. But I think that's great. Now, how do I feel about the other stuff, about the reviews and the sponsored reviews? I get it. I agree. And I've been misled by some YouTubers myself. There was a guy, he had a stand for it wasn't a sponsored review, but he put the wrong link and I wasted my money. There's a lot of responsibility here. People are spending their money. That really annoyed me when that happened, by the way. I didn't tell him that, but it did. I lost $30 because of his video. So you got to be careful. And I also agree to an extent that if you're sent an item and paid a good amount of money to show it in its best possible light, that is a demo. And it should be branded a demo. When it's called review, yes, you are offering your opinion. But even so, it's still just your opinion. So, I don't know. It's like that mic. Rex might buy one, it's fine. And it's saved him money from buying a more expensive mic. I don't know. It's a really tough one. But I really like that company because they asked me to do a review. I did a review, and they were fine with it, and there was no problem. And I think that's great. I mean, why can't everyone just do that? It happens in the technology part of YouTube. Well, people that review Apple products and Microsoft laptops where they're provided the thing and paid to do the video, they will put up on the screen that it's not as good as the previous year's processor or whatever. It's not as fast as so and so's. They don't get in trouble. They don't get hate from viewers. They don't get hate from the companies. It seems to be something, in my experience, that's very focused on the music world. I might be wrong. Maybe you've seen it in other industries on YouTube. But for me, it's more the music thing, where no one trusts anyone and think they're all trying to um, um, rip people off and be paid to do stuff. But I've been very transparent this year. Since NAMM, that is now my policy. I am now doing sponsored videos. The QSC is sponsored. The mic was sponsored. And hey, they're all going to say they were sponsored. I've noticed some people still aren't putting that they're sponsored. I don't agree with that. But all my videos are going to say if they're sponsored. So just use your own common sense. Watch the video. Watch how I react to it. Watch how I make it sound. Listen to the experience I've had with it at gigs. And then think, right, well, that was Aaron's story. And now if I am interested in that, I'll keep that in the back of my mind and look at other videos or buy one and try it for myself. I just don't see or don't watch the video at all. I don't see a problem with it. But I think the YouTube thing like that is still finding its way. I don't think anyone quite knows how to navigate it yet. And there's still some companies that don't know how to navigate it really at all, even now, in my opinion. But the way Xtuga handled that, I thought was excellent. I thought it was great. I'm really happy. I think, hats off to them. And yeah, that's great. That for me, that's the ideal situation. I get paid for my time to make the video, to show it to people. Hey, it didn't do that well views-wise, because that's not really what my channel's known for, right? But even then, they want me to do it, which again is great. But just the fact they were so supportive and open to the criticism, I thought it was brilliant. I was very, very, very happy. And right now I have an opposite thing where a company, I was interested in something, the company sent me the thing, but now I've pitched to them, do you want to sponsor a video so I can review it? I want to review it because it's great, but are you going to sponsor it? So it's like the opposite thing. In my experience, sometimes those videos don't happen, which is really weird. On one hand, maybe it's because the company already knows they've got a hit product and don't need videos made about it by people like me, which is fine. But it's frustrating to me because, like, some products you're just ready to say, this thing has been tested. It's way better than I could have even imagined. And to me, that just seems ideal. But sometimes that doesn't work out. So it's interesting. But you've got to take the rough with the smooth on here, I've found. But I've still got about 10 videos that I owe people to do. I need to catch up on. And then I want to do more of these videos that I just mentioned at the start of the show that did really well last week, that got the 40,000 views. I want to do more content like that because there's obviously a market for it. So I've got a new kind of approach. I want my time is going to be very much about videos that get views and videos that are sponsored. I'm not gonna. I want to really make the most of the time I put into this now, especially at the point that I've grown this to. But I know it's an ongoing discussion. It's an ongoing discussion, really. Kevin, how you doing? There's no 18 HD. No. You mean the D18 or the D28 or the HD28? D28 and HD28 now, the 2025 guitars are very close. It's more visual. To the extent where I don't really know why they kept the D28 around. They could have just had an HD28. I guess the D28 is so iconic, they had to keep it around. Kevin says, I got the hi-fi duet in my Martin special guitar. I was able to dial in a nice tone I was happy with, but had to cut out some 2K. Right, as I always do in every guitar anyway. Suggestion to LR bags have EQ in their pickups. This is 2025. I agree. Why not have a pickup where you can Bluetooth in, sculpt it to your needs, and then save that The only problem is the battery life will take a hit. You know, analog pickups have much longer battery life, and that's very appealing. But it'd be great if you could somehow wire into a pickup preamp with a cable, make your adjustments, and kind of save it as your general sound. I'd love that. Well, to the extent where it doesn't affect the tone, and then maybe have two voices, like the actual voice and the voice that you've stored. That would be amazing. But would people utilize the ability to do that? I don't think they would. Just me and you, Kevin. So I understand. But, you know, that pickup has really caused me a lot of head scratching. You know, I mean, people want a more natural sounding guitar plugged in. So LR bags give it to people. And then they don't want that anymore. They want the undersaddle or the anthem sound. I don't really get it. I think I've heard it sound amazing. I know a lot of people that are using it that are making it sound amazing. You say you cut out 2K. I cut out 2K in everything, and I even hear that in electric guitars and hate it in electric guitars when I go straight into a tube amp. I hate that sound. So yeah, I just don't know. I don't know that. I think I'm kind of sitting on the back fence with the Hi-Fi Duet. I really think in about a year or two from now, it will be a very standard pickup system. I think people are not used to it. That's always the way with anything new. Bit like this PA system I tried out this week. I'm used to just having a single speaker. So the minute I have a sub and a separate high and mid speaker, it sounds different. And your first thought is always, oh, doesn't sound as good. It's not as punchy because all the sound's not coming. Of course, because all the sound's not coming from one place. It's coming from the bottom and the top. The sound is straight away is more open and spread out. So the first thought sometimes can be, oh, it's not the same, therefore not as good. But that's actually not the case. It's just different. And that's what you've got to remember. And you've got to give something that's different a little while for your ears to readjust. It's very, very easy to compare two things and say, well, that's not as good as that. So you've got to give it time. So I would definitely give that time and dial it in. It says the Cole Clark spoils me. Yes, but again, they are different. They're different sounds. I don't know. It's some of this stuff is just like, you know, it's like, am I going to wear jeans today or pants today or sweatpants today or shorts today? You know, why people are so quick to decide what's the best. I just don't think there is a best. You know, I think the Hi-Fi Duet sounds more natural, straight. It's a more natural sound. And the Cole Clark, you still hear some of that undersaddle. It still doesn't sound as natural. But then because it's got an undersaddle, it's got a bit more attack and presence. You know, and then, I mean, I can pick holes in the Cole Clark if you want me to. You know, I mean, it picks up a lot of body noise because it's got a satin finish with a very sensitive pickup. So sometimes I'm talking on the mic and I hear the guitar scratching around. That's not ideal. If you want to find a problem in a piece of gear, you can find it. You got to try to look more at the positives and take the right tool for the job as well. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with the Hi-Fi Duet. But at the same time, I don't really care. But I also need to try it more because I think I'm gonna be trying it in the guitar in a few weeks' time, and I'll report back again. But yeah, but at the end of the day, just use what you like. If you like the Cole Clark, and just use the don't even put. That's the other thing. Like I've said for a few years now, just if you got a nice acoustic, don't put anything in it because even the M pin jack is going to add weight to the guitar. Just leave it acoustic. And if you've got a guitar you love plugged in, then just use that all the time. You know, you don't need to make everything so you can plug it in. Link to that video. Can someone post it for me? Because otherwise I'm going to have to go and look for that rather than do the stream. So feel free to drop a link into the Xtuga microphone video in the chat. Assad. Hi, Aaron. And by the way, thanks to the new subscriber I just saw pop up. Appreciate it if you're watching. Hi, Aaron. I am using Tone Dexter 2 with my Taylor GC5. I'm looking for amplification advice. Should I buy a small portable Bose L1 Pro 8 or a guitar amp? So, like layer box. This is actually a video that I'm meaning to make. because basically there's three things that you can do when you amplify your guitar. And the things to think about is, first of all, what system is in the guitar? So the fact that you're using a Tone Dexter 2, you're using impulse responses. Hopefully you're getting a very natural acoustic guitar tone. So therefore, I would assume you want a full range, like studio monitor experience. For me, the acoustic amps don't do that. You want like a full range PA system for that. I feel like the loud box amps work really well with the undersaddle pickups because they kind of improve them. It's like they're voiced for that sound, and it works. It really enhances that. If you're using a Tone Dexter, I can't say for sure because I never tried that. It might sound incredible, so it might sound great, but in my mind, you want to run that through a full range system. So there's really three things that you can look at. I'll just do this quickly on the screen, but I will probably make this into a video at some point. We'll see. But this is basically it. So, you could get the Livebox Mini. Well, I think that's too small. I've used one before. I don't think it had enough volume for me. Talking about comparing gear, it's really funny because after I did the gig on Saturday with the QSC system, and then used the battery-powered amp by EV, the Everse 8. When I used that the day after at a brunch, it didn't sound anywhere near as good as it normally does. You see what I mean about comparing gear? Like normally I can use an Everse 8 and just think, yeah, sounds fine. Great, does the job, take it on the subway, sounds that. I know it doesn't sound the best, but it sounds fine. I'm very happy with it. And my point is, then taking a KC12 3000 watt subwoofer, brand new system like that, and playing through that for 3 hours. And I thought it sounded great, of course. But the other part of me just thought, well, it doesn't sound that much different to anything else. And then the very next morning, I play a gig with the Everse 8, and I'm thinking, hey, this sounds awful. Yeah, it's so much it's just so much in the comparison, and they say comparison is a thief of joy. It really is. I think it's good to settle on one thing and just use it all the time. So one guitar, one pickup, one amp that can do any gig pretty much within reason, and just stick to that because your ear will get so used to that sound. If you keep jumping from pickup to pickup, guitar to guitar, PA to PA, you're going to drive yourself insane and just not enjoy playing music anymore. So I would probably look at this one here. The Livebox Performer, 180 watts, you see, it's obviously going to be more portable. But actually, though, that's £29. So that's not the right one for me to show you for what I'm going to do next. So let's say you're going to get the Artist. Okay. All right. So I think these sound great with just a straight up piezo pickup. £25 if that's the right information. But with a Tone Dexter, I just feel that you want the more of the full range type speaker there. So that's when you go and look at something like the K8.2, which I still swear by. This is basically a studio reference monitor speaker. And I've used these for, oh my God, 20 years. I used the original and then this version. So this is basically the quality of a studio monitor reference speaker that you listen to pre-recorded music through. So this is going to really make your guitar sound good. You want that full range, powerful, high headroom system when you're using impulse responses, in my opinion. And I haven't tried it with the Livebox Mini, so I might be wrong, but I think this would make a lot of sense. And then this is £27. I mean, amazing. And we'll do most gigs. It doesn't have, okay, why do people go for acoustic amps? Well, if you buy the Fishman Livebox, you're going to have, I think that one you can get one with built-in Bluetooth to stream music to. Very cool. It has the 2 channels with the reverb, more EQ options. That's why you go for an acoustic amp. So I'm not against acoustic amps. I definitely think it's worth consideration. Just because you mentioned IRs, I would look at something like this, but then you're going to need your effects. Well, the Tone Dexter does have reverb built in now and EQ, but your microphone won't. So you'll still need a separate pedal for your microphone, whereas on the acoustic amp, that is built in. So again, there's no perfect here, but this would be worth considering, in my opinion, as well as the Fishman. And then finally, as I mentioned, I am now testing out this KC12, which so far I'm very impressed by. And obviously this is probably going to sound amazing with something like impulse responses like the Tone Dexter, or a great system like the Hi-Fi Duet, or the Cole Clark. So they're the ones I'm interested in, but only because I have them. I currently have the Fishman. I've done the Micro, which I really like, but that's more for home use. I've got the Artist here that I still owe them a review of that. And I got the KC12, and I'll be comparing the KC12 to the K8.2. So I'll actually be showing those three. So I'm totally biased here. I'm showing you these ones because I have them, but I also have them because I like them. How is the EV? How is the Bose? I'm sure they're great. I haven't tried them, so I can't comment. The reason I'm kind of pushing this one right now is because I spoke with QSC and they told me things like this has a clearer high end. The other ones boost the high ends artificially. This one is clear. And I can hear that because there's no hiss in this. Some of those other ones have a lot of hiss. Turns out because they're artificially boosting the highs, and then you get extra hiss. So this one has no hiss. It's very quiet. This one has built-in Bluetooth, so you could stream your backing tracks or your interval music through it. It has a USB-C port, so you could use that to charge your phone. I think this is a very cool option. And there's other acoustic amps like the Fishman. There's other PAs like the QSC K8, and there's other tower systems like the KC12. These are the three that I'm personally interested in right now. And they're the reasons. Obviously, this one will be the least portable. The Fishman will be the most portable size-wise, if not the weight, at least size-wise. The QSC will be in the middle. There's just a million options, but they're the three that I would consider. And it all depends where you play. Because if you tell me that your gig is always in a small cafe to 10 people, then you don't need to consider this. But if you say that, then I would say, well, go for the Fishman, because you don't need that much extra volume. But if you're going to tell me you play weddings and in a band sometime, then you want to get something like this. So a lot of it, as I always say, is down to the person. There is no best for everybody. So you're talking about the Bose. I never tried the Bose, so I can't recommend it. But I know a lot of people use them. Fishman layer box, yeah. And the other thing is get a Fishman layer box and something like a K8 or this tower system, and then you could even use them together. Have like a mod. I like the idea of a modular system. That's pretty cool. Frank says hi. Thanks for saving my ass. So I went to see. So Frank was playing last week, and I went to see him, and I think there was a girl singer that's part of the family of the owners of the bar, and she wanted to sing Valerie, so I offered to play it, and it was fun. And I thought Frank's guitar sounded great. I think that's a Fishman. Is that an undersaddle, Frank? But I thought it sounded great. You know, I see a lot of it is the room and the settings, and there's just, oh, I don't know. There's so many variables in all this, you know? Interesting that no manufacturer has adopted the duet over the Anthem. Is it because of cost, says Greg. Well, actually, that's not true. Emerald Guitars have adopted the duet when they didn't want to adopt the Anthem. They said the Anthem, they weren't a fan of it in their guitars, but they would do it at the person's request. They were using the Element, and they are now offering the duet as more of a standard install. So that's not quite true. In regards to someone like Martin Guitar, I know exactly why they wouldn't do it. It's because it would take longer to install it because there's variables. Look, here's the thing. This is the reason why most guitar companies use undersaddle pickups. An undersaddle pickup, as long as the bottom of the saddle is completely flat, is very consistent. There's nothing to vary. You've got your saddle slot, and it just goes under that saddle and it's in the slot and that's done. With the bag stuff, you have to be a bit careful because the end of it isn't active. So it has to, that's why they say sometimes to drill an extra long hole into the slot so it can pass all the way in. But a lot of guitars, you don't need to do that, but it can be an issue. So that can be a problem. But something like the Fishman Matrix, the reason it's so popular is you just stick it in the saddle slot, put the saddle on top, and as long as the saddle is completely flat and there's no dead bone, like with a piece of bone, it can vary in density. That can create different levels. So the reason they use synthetic tusk saddles is because they're completely consistent all the way through it. And as long as it's completely flat on the bottom and that goes on that saddle, then it's just gonna sound very consistent. And the downside is in a D18 and HD28, it's probably gonna sound basically the same. That's the downside. With a sensor like a K&K, a hi-fi duet, it's gonna pick up more of the guitar. So the two guitars are gonna sound more different, for better or worse, of course. But also, where you place that sensor will change the tone. I've seen people say that the hi-fi is too bright, not enough low end. Well, if you move the sensor closer to the bass strings, you'll get more low end. So with a system like that, you really want to put them on the top of the guitar and find the best place before you stick them in. So again, that's a good thing in a way, and it's a bad thing in a way. Why is that a bad thing for someone like Martin Guitar? They haven't got time to mess around with any of that stuff. They need to get the guitar. That's why they don't even install pickups in most of their guitars. They need to make the guitar and ship it out and get on to the next one. That's just the way it is. To spend time installing the sensor in the right place and then creating impulse responses of that particular guitar, which is something they could do, of course, with modern technology. But think of the time that would add on to the process of building the guitar. It would just slow down production so much. And that's really the reason why. I don't think anyone will deny that the Element pickup sounds better than the hi-fi pickup. It just the hi-fi just sounds more natural. Whether that's right for everybody, of course, is debatable, but it does sound more natural. But it's just not a case of just whacking it in there like it is with an under-saddle pickup. That is the only reason. It's not. I really believe that. It's not that under-saddles are better. They're better sometimes for some situations, but the reality is an under-saddle pickup is cheap and consistent to install, right? A lot of guitars come with something like the Fishman, what's it called? They have like a soft Sonicor. Yeah. It's probably cost $10 to make it. And I'm nothing against it. I've heard them sound good, but $10 to make it, you stick it in there, you make sure the saddle's flat, which a lot of companies don't, by the way. So make sure whenever you buy a guitar with an under-saddle pickup that the bottom of the saddle is flat. And you put it in there and you just get a sound that sounds like a plugged-in acoustic guitar. Probably won't sound like a great plugged-in acoustic guitar, but it will sound like a plugged-in acoustic guitar, and they can get on to making the next guitar. And then the end user can always replace that easily. They just take it out, make a bigger saddle and stick it in there, and they can take it out. So that's why they do it. It's mostly business. A lot of this stuff is business. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And it has to be that way. Like a company cannot make a product that doesn't sell because the company will shut down. It's like someone says, well, why don't Martin make a, why don't they make a, like an OM18. Yeah, an OM18, not a 0018. Well, because that's another thing to add to inventory. They have to look at how many guitars they can make total that year, which ones sell the best, and they have to get rid of the ones that are not selling and just focus on the ones that are going to sell. And that some of that is predicted, of course. Some of that may not actually work out, but that's business. It's a bit like I said today at the start of the video. I've found videos that are getting more views. I'm going to make more of those videos because there's no point making a video that 100 people watch, unless it's sponsored, of course. That's worth it financially. But if you're going to make a video and spend a week making a really high quality video that you've spent time on researching, editing, color correcting, color grading, spend your whole week making that video, it's got to be on something that you at least have researched will get views. Because otherwise, if you keep making those videos and they don't get views, eventually you're going to stop making videos because it ain't worth it in any way. Whether you're doing it financially on YouTube or just doing it for the love of it, you need to have people watch their video, right? So that's the same thing. I think people should realize that. I think it's very easy to say, you know, why don't Taylor make this guitar, or why don't so and so put this in there, or why don't this pickup have an editor on a phone and you can add your own IRs created in your own room, and because that would add so much cost and it could derail the whole company. That's why. Rosanna says can't find it in the UK. That's interesting. Well, if you click the link on the video. If you click the link on the Xtuga video, okay, let me find it then. Or did someone post it? No. I just don't like doing this because it's gonna slow things down. So YouTube, Aaron Short, music, Xtuga, microphone. Okay, so here's the video. And then the link in that video to get the discount will take you to, no, not edit, hang on. The link in the video will take you to this page. So this, let me know if this comes up in the UK, if this shows like a UK store or not. That'd be interesting to know, actually. That takes me to a way to buy it from the American page. Yeah, let me know. Be good information. Greg says the bag's AEG design with structure in the rim seems like a breakthrough. It'll be interesting to see this in conventional acoustics. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Could you do that in like a regular acoustic, or is that for the thin line thing? I don't know. I do see there's more in stock these days. And I think that's good because if you're looking for one now, I'd look for one that's light. So let's take a quick look at these. This is interesting. These are now in stock regularly. So £6 too, that's great. The one that I reviewed was £6.5, which is okay. I mean, a Strat is £7.5 or £8.5, right? But like this is cool. They got one here for £6, 2 ounces. If you ever on Sweetwater and see one like £5.5, I would buy it, honestly, because that'd be amazing. Let's see these ones here. Oh, that one's back ordered. Okay. And these ones, 6.2. Yeah. I saw one the other day that was 5.10, I think. 5.12. That's really nice. Oh yeah, the serial number. So they've sold around 800 already. That doesn't sound like a lot when you think about numbers like Martin and Taylor, but that is a lot in that amount of time. That's a lot of guitars. So I'm sure they're very happy with that. Yeah, I'm glad they're now in stock regularly. That's good. And the best thing about Sweetwater is you can see the weight and the look. I mean, look at them. They all look completely different. They're all completely different weights. I mean, 3 ounces is 3 ounces, right? So if it was me, I'd be looking on here like, well, that one looks the nicest. That's 6.5. And then I want 6.2. So which one looks the best out of the 6.2s? And I'd go for maybe that one, maybe. But then I'd also come on tomorrow and see if they got one that's even lighter, you know. I just think that's great. I'm of the opinion a little bit that maybe the heavy guitars can sound better. Again, all guitars are different. I don't think there's a rule to it, but you know, when the guitar is 6.5, I'd rather have one that was 6 personally. I also think guitars can be too light as well sometimes. Rosanna, thank you. You already posted that. Thank you. And please click that link if you haven't and give it a view, because I want to say thank you to Xtuga for what they did for me. All right. Lots of talk about acoustic IRs. I know that's one of my most popular videos. I should bear that in mind. Looking for an acoustic IR loader. NuX Optima Air versus Tone X1 versus TC Impulse Response. All about the same price. Optima Air is very good, but it's not as full featured. Tone X1 is awesome, and I did that video about how to do it. And the IR that you make on Kookie's thing is probably as good as Optima Air. Well, at least as good, I'd say. TC, I wouldn't go for that. It doesn't do enough things. The one I mentioned earlier in the video, which I'm waiting to see if they want me to make a sponsored video on. Well, I will show it to you because they did send it to me. And it does sound like something that you might be interested in. This is the Sonicake Pocket Master. So this is really cool. Now, the thing is, some people are going to say, well, it's plastic and cheap. Yeah, it is. It's $80, which is a good thing, right? It's plastic, which for me is a good thing because I want something really light. I'm thinking about something I can use with my Cole Clark Hybrid for the electric sounds, but it also loads acoustic IRs. So, and the other cool thing about this, that might be the coolest thing about it, and I know what some people are going to say, well, the battery's going to die and you've got a brick. Yeah, but you just buy a new one. It's $80. And by then there'll be a new one anyway. Look, it's rechargeable. How cool is that? $80, rechargeable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different effects. App controlled, so you can make changes from the app on your phone or iPad. Tuner and a 10-second looper. I know, 10 seconds, but hey, so it's enough for a sound check, right? There you go. The tuner's really good, and it loads IRs. So you could load an acoustic. I haven't tried it yet. Don't know how good they sound. But if they sound fine in here, you could load an acoustic IR that you create from the internet onto this. And then there's reverb. I mean, is it the best reverb in the world? No. But it's good. It's fine. It's usable, you know. But the great thing about this is how convenient it is, as long as you remember to charge it up. And because you always charge up at the gig while you're using it. So don't overlook this one. But I haven't yet tried the acoustic IRs in it, so I'm not going to recommend it to you. But don't overlook this Pocket Master. And also, I would then, if you want something really pro and you know you don't want to test that thing out, because I haven't tested it yet, go for the Tone X. Tone X I would go for. I'd look at Tone Dexter 2, but I haven't used one since they added all the new updates and things, so I'm not going to recommend it. But I'm probably, I feel like Tone Dexter and Tone X are probably up there. Yeah. It also depends on the rest of your pedals you have. Like if you already have all the pedals and you just want an IR, then maybe the TC is the way to go. I don't know. No one gives me enough information on here. I need to know everything else that you're using. If you I assume you just want the IR loader part. In which case, maybe the TC if it's cheap. I would get the Optima Air because it would give me the other effects as well, which I could use alongside the effects I already have. So yeah, I'm going to say Tone X1. Rich says, I've used the Layerbox Performer for years, still love it, but no one upgraded version with Bluetooth. Yeah, that's great. It's so good having the Bluetooth. The QSC KC12 has Bluetooth. It's such a great option just to be able to Bluetooth your interval music at any time. And then I really hope they add that to the K8.3. If there's going to be a K8.3, I really hope they add the Bluetooth audio to that. That would be so useful. I agree. The QSC K82 outperforms the Layerbox Artist. Well, volume-wise, yes, it has to, because the K8.2 is 2,000 watts on paper, and the Artist is 200 watts or whatever on paper. But the thing is, it's not all just about volume. It's also about the other features. So the K8.2 doesn't have the EQ, it doesn't have the reverb, the chorus, doesn't have the Bluetooth like the new one has, you know, on the K8.2. So if volume isn't important to everybody, if you don't play venues that need a lot of volume, but you need those other features because you don't have a pedal board, then that's when the Layerbox Artist will be the best choice for you. If you're already, that's why I keep telling people to tell me the rest of the stuff they have, because if you have a pedal board and you do play in noisy rooms where people unfortunately are talking over you, which happens a lot, that's funny enough, that's when you need the extra volume to be heard over their talking. Let's face it, if people sat in a venue and didn't talk, you wouldn't need much volume anyway. It's just all that when you're competing with the background noise and big spaces and high ceilings, that's when it's a problem. I also send a DI out from the Lightbox Artist to an extension speaker like the K8.2, and it's bought, like I said earlier, do a modular system where you could use both together. That's a good idea. Then that's working as like a monitor, and you're sending the effects from the Lightbox Artist into the QSC, which is quite nice as well. Yeah, I like modular systems, but on the other hand, if I'm going to take, rather than take a sub, stands and cables, I'd rather take a tower system that has it all in one. Like the KC12 is great because you just put the box on the ground, stick a pole, plug in the power, you're ready to go. Whereas with a traditional system, you've got to put the sub down, plug in the power to the sub, put the pole on, put the speaker on top, plug in the power to the speaker, connect the cable from the speaker to the sub. There's just more steps involved, you know, and it doesn't look as clean. The tower systems look so nice and clean. Do you think that QSC model would support an upright bass outdoor? Yeah, I do, definitely. I mean, I'm not an expert in bass amplification, so I'm not going to say, I'll take back definitely. But if I'll just say this. Let me just show this thing again on the screen. Because at the end of the day, the K8 and K10 and the K12.2 for acoustic guitar and voice are just incredible, right? They work so well. But at the end of the day, if you want to put a bass through that, now don't get me wrong, the bass through that sounds great. I've tried it. I have actually tried that. Now I think about it, sounded incredible. But if you're going to have something like the KC12, which comes in white or black, and put the bass through that, of course, it's going to sound even. I mean, it's going to be amazing, you know, amazing. So, yeah, backing tracks, karaoke, discos, bass players, kick drums, KC12 would be my choice. Acoustic guitar only, still would say look at this, but also look at the K8, also look at the acoustic amp, depending on what other pedals you have with it. Elite Acoustics would probably be good for impulse response pedals. Yeah, I agree. Their stuff is very hi-fi sounding. I just feel like for impulse response stuff, you want more of a hi-fi sounding speaker. Really super full range, super flat sounding. But I might be wrong. You might like what it does. That's the thing. Like, the way gear works together can be preferential to some and not others. There is no right or wrong, you know. Frank said it's just a Fishman prefix with the barn door. Yeah, you know, that's basically the Matrix, isn't it? I've heard the Fishman Matrix sound excellent. It really just depends on what you plug it into. It's amazing. Some PAs like and mixers, they just and the way the guitar takes an understandable pickup, sometimes it can just sound really good and just what's needed. And sometimes it can just sound really fake and plasticky and quacky and obnoxious. I don't know. It's I've always thought that about the Matrix. I've heard the Matrix just sound really good, just straight in, and I've also heard it sound where it bothers me. But I think it's a very important, the rest of the chain, you know. Oh, thank you, Rich. I'll bring you straight up for the super sticker. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad my information helped you out. And stay tuned because this KC12 I'm doing a video on it. So that should be out in a week or 2 weeks at the latest. And I will be comparing it to the K8 as well. So I would wait for that video if I was you, if you can. And just think about what I said today. And also look at the other products too. There's a lot of, I mean, there's too many. There's a million zillion tower systems now. EV, Bose, Fishman used to make one, right? I think Frank's got that. The QSC, LD, blah, blah, blah. And then there's all the battery ones, the Bose S1 Pro, plus the Everse 8, which I use quite a lot. Then there's the Fishman acoustic amps. There's the Elite acoustic amps, which are really good. There's just so many. Then there's straight up PA speakers like the K8, the K10, the K12. There's so many options. Gary says, I also use L1 Bose L1 Pro 8. Disperses very evenly while giving me great personal monitoring of the exact sound audience hears. I do drop the treble EQ a little bit on the Bose. So with this one here, yeah, I really like this. It's 132 dB SPL. In fact, let's just quickly compare this. Since Rich sent me us $10, I will just give you a bit of extra time on this. I want to compare because you mentioned the Pro 8, right? I haven't used it, but let's just take a look here. So price-wise, the QSC is 2,000. The Bose is 1,300. It's more affordable. Try not to use the word cheaper. More affordable. And then you got £30 and £8 for a total of about 30. Yeah, let's call that £40. On the QSC, it is, I think this is the shipping weight. It's not 60. I think it's 55. So, you know, 15, 20 pounds heavier, you know. But then you get 132 peak SPL at 1 meter. Whereas on the Bose, you get, does it say? I hate it when it doesn't say. It must say here. Oh, it doesn't say. I'm sure it's in the user guide, but check that out. I don't think it'll be 132 dB. Because look, the sub is 240 and the top is 60. That's 300 watts, where they're saying the QSC is 3,000. And it's a 12-inch sub, that's an 8-inch sub, right? Now again, you see, like it just depends where you're playing and how much sub you want. It's at the end of the day, the Bose is. Oh, there we go, 118. Okay, so 118 versus 132, and when you get to those kind of numbers, like 132 compared to 118, it's not a matter of it being slightly louder. It's a lot louder when you get to those kind of numbers. And I don't know if you get hiss. I'd like to hear from Gary if when you turn on the Bose and listen to it without playing, do you hear hiss? Because I've used some of these type systems before where I hear hiss in the treble. It's not really a problem because when you're playing, you don't hear it. So it's not really an issue. But what I've noticed with the QSC is there's zero hiss. And they told me that's one of the things that their technology is allowing them to do, have zero hiss. And it says on there 145 and 35 coverage, whereas the Bose is 180. So a little bit more actually. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like to have both. Let's face it, the Bose is slightly more portable, but the QSC has more headroom. But who needs that kind of headroom? That's a lot of volume. You have a pretty rowdy bar or outside. Probably outside. I'll probably use one of these outside at a country club when I'm playing the outside and I want to really push some volume. But don't just think about dispersion. Also think about drop-off. Because I've read, and I don't know if it's true, it's just things that I've heard, some of these tower systems apparently drop off quickly. So they have a wide spread of sound, but the sound can drop off after a few meters in volume. What you really want is for it to keep going, right? You want to really push that sound to the back of the room. And from what QSC told me, that is what they're doing with this. This is more like the best of a regular PA system and a tower system in one. Now, obviously, that's coming from the manufacturer, so take that with a grain of salt. Not that I'm saying they're lying, of course, but always take everything with a grain of salt you hear on the internet. But so far, I do believe them, and I believe them because there is no hiss from the top, which is a really good sign about that. And it's certainly got that spread of sound and that power. And I deliberately, of course, asked around Saturday night what people thought of the sound, because it's all part of my video research. And there was a gentleman sitting at the bar over on the side of me, and he said it sounded great. It wasn't too loud, wasn't too soft. I thought, great, that's what these are supposed to do. Get the volume out to people. I also noticed it was pretty loud, and I was in front of it, but my ears were not ringing. And that speaker is basically at my head level, just a little bit above. And because I'm 6'5", and that's about 7 feet, and that's angling down slightly. So I'm really impressed. Look, would I like to compare this to the EV and the Bose systems? Yes. Is that Is that an easy thing to do? No, not at all. But I'm really happy so far. I think the thing's great. I think it's great. I'd actually like to get another one long term, and then if you get a band gig, you could have 2 of those. Because right now I've got 2 K8s and 2 K10s. I'd rather have 2 K8s as monitors and 2 of these as front of house, and then not have the K10s at all. That long term. But I'm still testing it out. I've only used it at 2 gigs, so wait for the full review. Do you plan to try another Emerald? Yes. So they're gonna loan me one, and I'm gonna try that. And if I don't like it, I'm just gonna send it back, and no hard feelings. And if I like it, I'm gonna make an updated video explaining why I like it. And I went for a different spec. I went for no quilted maple, no veneer top, no heavy ghost saddle, just the hi-fi duet. So it'll be really nice. I'll get to try the hi-fi duet again in a different guitar, and I'll get to try an Emerald again. And I've got a very open mind, you know. I didn't hate the one I bought before. I didn't hate it. It didn't live up to the hype I felt I'd experienced on the internet around that time. And the pickup just wasn't comparable to my other systems. I feel like the hi-fi duet will be more comparable, and I think having less stuff on the guitar will make it more resonant, but I could be completely wrong. So ask me again in about a month's time what I think about the Emerald guitars, if you care about my opinion on them. But they're good people. I like them, you see. I like them because I made I don't think the video I made was mean or harsh or anything. I tried to be super balanced, list out. In fact, it's probably my favorite video that I've ever made. I felt like I really highlighted the positives. I mentioned the negatives that were negatives to me. I did a comparison to show what I meant. I didn't just say it with words. I showed it compared to another guitar. And I basically just said, you know, it's not what I'm looking for, but it's yeah, I thought it was a really balanced review, in my opinion. I was very happy with it. But I definitely want to try out another one with slightly different specifications again. Because I just love the idea of a carbon guitar. I love the Rain song behind me. It's just a great... I can't believe they closed down. It's such a good sounding guitar. It's fantastic. All right, Rosanna. US page, only from what I can see, they don't seem to ship outside US. Oh. Well, that's a shame. Oh well, then again, I am... Maybe that's why they want me to do it, because I am in the US, so... Cheers, Rich, and let us know, you know, in a few weeks, let us know what you end up getting. That'd be interesting to hear your decision. And remember, there's no right or wrong. They're all just different. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Yes, please do. I'll just mention that before I go. No hiss on the Bose S1 Pro 16. Probably better comparison to the K12. Oh, the KC12, you mean? Yes. That's a more powerful system, isn't it? And then isn't there a 30? I'd say the 32... Oh no. Just see this. L1 Pro 16. I'll say the wrong thing. What size is that subwoofer? 124 dB. That's a little bit closer. And obviously going to be heavier. And then the sub is 1,000 watt sub. So yeah, that's better. Much better for DJs, I'd say. And then the weight's closer as well. Not sure how big the sub is, but yeah. And I think there's a 32 as well, which I would say is... No, it's not. They just show the Pro 8 and the Pro 16. Huh. Isn't there a Bose Pro 32? Oh, there is. But then it's just nowhere near as boardable, right? And it's $3,000. Wow, man. 100. I see. That's kind of more comparable because it's 128 dB versus 132 dB. But it's $3,000 and it's £50 just for the sub alone, and then 28 for the array. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I've not tried it. I'm sure it's great. You know, I'd love to try it. I really would. And that's definitely gonna be more for like a DJ, I'd say. But I know I like Bose a lot. I like QSC a lot too. I've used all their stuff a long time. Just never had a chance to really try the Bose towers that much. So no hiss on the bigger Bose. Okay, that's good to know. I've heard it on some towers, but I can't think which ones it was. And I don't want to say in case I say the wrong one. But I've definitely heard that in some PA speakers, and now I know why. Joe just stopped by saying it's definitely been Monday for me. Hope everything's well for you, Aaron. Yep, you too, Joe. Thank you. And Nick Johnson, we'll take this one as the last question. What's your thoughts on new Clapton Martins? Well, I want to know what your thoughts are. I think they're cool. So these were announced yesterday for Clapton's birthday. Let's just finish up with this. So your regular Clapton was this one here, the 0028 EC, Eric Clapton, 3999. So now there's going to be $1,000 more, the special edition. Oh, they're already in stock. I didn't know that. Holy cow. Well, there you go. So these will be around for 1 year. It's the anniversary edition. A bit like they did with Maya, they're now done with the Claptons. I think for $1,000 more, it's probably worth it if you're a Clapton fan and you like triple O guitars. The one that's interesting to me is this 42. So this is basically a copy. This isn't in yet, but this is 11 grand. Hey, that's a lot of money, but it's less than the Maya 45 was because it's a 42 and not a 45. I think that's affordable. I don't want to say that because everyone's going to shoot me down for saying that, but I think it's okay for what you're getting, which is a 42 series, almost like an authentic 42, right? For 11 grand, and it's also an artist model. I think it's, you know, it's not 20,000. Let's just say that. It's an Addy top. It's got more abalone. I wish they were in stock so we could really check them out. But yeah, it's basically an authentic, and it's supposedly a copy of what Clapton actually played on MTV Unplugged, which I think is cool. I'm not going to buy one, but I think I'd love to play one. I think it's cool. If you're a Clapton fan, it's cool. It also shows us they can bring these guitars back. So they could have brought back the regular Maya guitar. They didn't. They brought it back in that grey color. I would much rather had they brought back, as you know, the Maya. They could have done it, I feel like, and they didn't. But no, I mean, that's great. And like everything else, you know, you haven't got to buy one. But I think it's cool. You can now get either the regular Clapton at 4 grand, the anniversary edition at 5 grand, or the 42 version, which is the MTV Unplugged kind of guitar, at 11 grand. I think that's cool. And it's got its own strings that go with it as well. And you do get an extra set of strings in the bag. So I don't know. Let me know if you're interested. I think with these kind of guitars, it really depends if you're a fan of the artist, right? If you're a Clapton fan, if you're a fan of the MTV thing. I mean, that's great. It's great they're offering it for those people, for sure. So don't really have any thoughts until I play one. I mean, I might play one and say, hey, I think this is amazing. I might play one and think, hey, no, I prefer the original Clapton or something else. But if you're a Clapton fan, I'm sure you're very happy about it. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. So thanks for watching. It's been great. I'm going to just say, if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Thanks for all new subscribers. Had 600 new subscribers last month, which was awesome. Very happy about that. And I will definitely move into those things. Those videos. I'm going to try some new stuff out. Not really new, but try some things out once I've got caught up on my sponsored videos that I've got to make, like the one on the QSC. So thanks, Rich, for your super sticker. I really appreciate that. That's awesome of you. Subscribe, ring the bell, watch out for new videos. And if you've got time tonight, please check out the 2 Extuga videos that I posted last weekend. That would help me out as well. Thank you to Rosanna for moderating. And watch out for all the April Fool's jokes tomorrow. And I'll see you again next Monday. So take care and be well. Thank you.
six string today. Vintage wood, shiny frets, strumming blues while the sun fades. All these guitars can't help myself. Why can't I quit this ever-growing need? Oh man, goddamn, bought another six string today. Vintage wood, shiny frets, strumming blues while the sun fades. All these guitars can't help myself. Why can't I quit this ever-growing need? Sneaking inside